Yo, it's your man with the plan, Martial Arts here to talk about Rune Factory 5. For many of those who don't know what Rune Factory is, it's a mixture between RPG, a farming simulator, dating simulator, and kind of like a slice of life simulator. And it takes pretty much like the best of all those different categories into one game, and it's a really interesting experience. Like, I'm trying to imagine like if you had Animal Crossing, Harvest Moon, like an action RPG and a dating sim. It's something, any dating sim, they all have similar stories, you know what I'm saying? But if you had all those games into like one game, that's what Rune Factory is. And I played the fourth one on the Nintendo 3DS, and I have also played it on the Switch. I didn't finish on the Switch, but I did pretty much do everything in the Nintendo 3DS one. And it's a really enjoyable experience, because I remember when I was playing the game, there are some 3D Rune Factories that are on the PS. I think there's one on the PS3 I almost bought, but I heard they're okay. I heard, and they weren't all like they weren't a numbered title. So I figured since they were very similar to Rune Factory, but they weren't a number titled, that it wasn't like probably as good, because Rune Factory is still a very niche series. It's something that most people have seen on a 3DS and tried out, because it's I think it used to always be on sale, or used to stand out in the 3DS. But it's something that, if you like any of those games I said about at the beginning of the video, it's something that you would like. It never goes too hard into any of those categories. It doesn't go too hard into slice of life. It doesn't go too hard into the dating. It doesn't go too hard to the RPG or the farming part. It's very balanced. At least from the one I played, it was very balanced on what does what and what type of gameplay supplies what type of gameplay. And those different categories are kind of like interconnected, like the dating sim and the relationship sim, where you talk to certain talented people and it helps you get certain items and certain events, and they join your party. There is the farming / crafting simulator, where the more you craft and farm, the better healing items are and the better your armor and stuff is. And at least on the 3DS one, some of the armor had specific different looks to it, And then you have the RPG, which helps level up your abilities and your combat ability. So you have everything you do has an ability level to it, and it helps you do things faster and quicker and more efficiently. And it's like it pretty much everything connects into something meaningful into the gameplay, and they connect to each other. And normally it all kind of comes back to the combat, but it's the combat is what I'm talking about. Like how everything connects is very bare bones, but it's supposed to be bare bones. But I think this new one that I see that we're about to get has a lot more different nuances to it. But it is, from what I played, very like bare bones. But you do get different abilities, and you kind of find them in the field. You buy them. You earn them. There's a whole bunch of abilities in the game that kind of spice up the gameplay, and different sword abilities, dual sword abilities, different weapon types that you can use. And I think that's what you use to spice up the combat. And they all do different things and different types of damage outputs. One's quicker, one is better defending, one gives you defense. It's the combat has a little nuance to it, though. It does have a little nuance to it. From what I saw, the game looks has a very similar art style to the one on the Nintendo 3DS, the fourth one, and the one that's on the Switch, I guess, now too. But I realized that the art style for 5 is a little bit better than 4. 4 had, there were some characters that you got later that had some really cool designs, but 4 overall had, the characters that you started off with were okay, and then the characters you got later were really cool looking. And it looks like they're starting off with just cool looking characters all around, because the main character was kind of cool looking, but there's these things called Guardians. I'm not going to spoil the story for 4 if you haven't played it, but there's these things called Guardians, and their designs are really cool. But I feel like the story for these games are normally, they're very G rated stories. They're not, they do have some violence and cussing in it once in a while, but it's not like, it's normally not that big of a deal. Like even the townsfolk in a lot of these games, they're so nice. At least in the one I played, they're like, the townsfolk are just like super nice, like unrealistically nice. Like I think, just imagine a town full of like almost semi nice people. Some of them are a little grumpy, but they're all nice, and that's probably that's why it's really relaxing. It kind of reminds me. That's why I said it kind of reminds me of Animal Crossing, your day to day and interacting with people. Every day is different in game. That's the only difference, is that instead of Animal Crossing, whereas the in-game hours are the real game, real life hours, it does have like a 24-minute hour span. So like every day is about 24 minutes, and at least on the 3DS. I don't know what the new one. And it's a nice, and it it's a nice amount of time for you to go through your day, and you pretty much got to do that, your daily grind. It's basically you're doing your daily grind. You get up, like it's like real life. Like you get up, you do the dishes, you get yourself dressed for your job, for your work, or for school or something. You go home, and have some fun stuff, and go on an adventure, go drinking, whatever you're doing, and then you go to sleep and do it over again. It's very, that's like the life simulator part. And then you go out and fight things, the RPG, and then you talk to some, you give presents to one of the characters you like that's a girl character, and you can ask them out. And it's not that complicated of dating, but it is, you do get some sense of romance in the game. The only problem I had with Rune Factory 4 that I hope they don't bring into 5, a lot of the events to progress and to just a lot of the events in the game were very random. Like there was a character, there's the elf character, I can't remember her name right now. I think it's Margaret from Rune Factory 4. That was my waifu in Rune Factory 4. But to get the events to get Margaret to marry you was random. It's random. How to get your number one, how to start dating somebody. You can start dating somebody, and then they can be your girlfriend after a random event, and then after another random event they can be your wife, and then you can have a child, and then that's a random event too. So you have to have 4 random events in total to get to the romance saga over. And I didn't really like that about Rune Factory 4. It was just a lot of random events leading up to to the final, to get to some of the events you really wanted to, and it felt like you could play for like 5 days and not get it, or you can play it like in the next hour and get it. I didn't like it that much. So I hope that the game's events in this game aren't really that random. Hopefully, like once you get your affinity up with a certain character, it just automatically gives you the choice if you want to like date them or marry them or whatever. Because that was a really annoying occurrence, I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, I really, really, really like Rune Factory. It's kind of like my Animal Crossing. That's why I don't really play a lot of Animal Crossing. I play Rune Factory. And I was hoping that this next one was going to be 3D, and I thank God the next one's 3D. I don't think I could have handled another 2D one, even if I only played one. I just like to see it. It felt like it needed a 3D environment. Hopefully there's voice acting in it too, because the voice acting in the old one was good, but it was like how Fire Emblem Awakening does it. They have a cutscene here and there where they do full voice acting for like 5 lines, and then the rest of them are just like, unless there's a really emotional line, they don't say anything. It is grunts or they squeal or something. And they had some nice voice actors in there, but it was obvious they weren't trying because they barely had to do anything, So I really, really, really hope that they have somewhat of some type of voice acting. It could be English, or even if it's just in Japanese, it'd be something, But I know they're probably going to do English since they did English for the old one. But yeah, if you really, really want to see, I probably have the gameplay for some of the Rune Factory 4 in the background. It's somewhat similar to this, but if you really, really like, or if this really interests you, please tell me down below. Or is there something about this series that you have questions about? Please, leave a comment down below too. This series is very niche, and it's not everybody's cup of tea, but I could guarantee you it's not a bad series. It's really fun, and it's really, I'm really excited to try out the new one, especially since it's in 3D, and the characters looks kind of really cool. So try out Rune Factory 4 if you know if you see what you like or you hear what you like. But if not, wait probably until 2021 because I think it was supposed to come out this year, so it should be coming out really early next year probably. And I really appreciate all the love and support of my videos. Hit me with a thumbs up and or a thumbs down, doesn't matter which one. It just helps know you guys are watching. Also, make sure you guys take care of yourselves. And make sure you guys have a dang good one, please. Make sure you have a dang good one. And you know what? Hopefully I see you guys in the next video in or stream. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.